She said, press it all on me. Yeah, you are all on me. I need you, really, what the fuck? I can never agree.
Meet Antonia Howard, a media professional based in Sierra Leone with over a decade of experience in journalism, storytelling, and content production. She has reported locally and globally with organizations like the BBC and stories that amplify Sierra Leonean voices. Currently, Antonia hosts a podcast called Honestly Speaking, where she explores real conversations in professional, social, and cultural dynamics in Sierra Leone. Her work blends creativity, strategy, and purpose driven for a commitment to using media as a tool for change and accountability. Welcome everyone to Effie's Kizzy Kind of Show. Today, we'll be talking on Beyond the Screen Foundation of Success with Antonia Howard.
Lesson 2026 to you.
And to you too.
Alright, so when was the moment you decided that media isn't just a hobby, but this is going to be a lifetime journey?
I don't think it was one moment. I think throughout my decision making, media has always been, if not the only choice, like the main choice I had. If I take it back to when I was deciding what to study in college, in uni, because I didn't want to do law, which is the option for many people today, and I didn't want to do anything that seemed limiting. To me, the only other choice, because my decision was basically led by me wanting to stay in Sierra Leone and study in Sierra Leone. During that time, a lot of people were deciding to leave because, they didn't believe that you could be educated and, well educated in Sierra Leone. So many people were deciding to go abroad for studies, but at the time I decided I was going to stay in Sierra Leone, and looking at what was being offered, talking about what 2012 around that time, yes, looking at what was being offered at the University of Sierra Leone, mass communications was my top choice. So that's how the decision was made. Basically, me wanting to stay in Sierra Leone, me not wanting to do anything that seemed to put me in a box. So I chose mass communications, and every decision that I took after going to college was basically just building on that one decision that I made. So there was not one single moment. It's just, life happening and following the path that I think was lucrative and best, suited me best at the time.
Okay. So looking back, do you think media chose you or you chose media?
Oh, I think it chose me, because making that decision, as I said, my goal, just as a young person, and I'm sure many young people in Sierra Leone or even across the world, for some people it's a struggle to decide, what do you want to be when you grow up? And for me, growing up, I wanted to be so many things because I was talented at so many things, and I had the opportunity to try many different things. So I didn't have my mind made up about what I wanted to do or who I wanted to become or what career I wanted to follow. So I think journalism chose me because I could have done anything else under mass communications. I could have done, public relations. But as fate would have it, if you know me, then if you know my background, then you know that my grandmother worked at SLBC. She was a broadcaster herself. I didn't know that when I made the decision. So it just happened to be, a sprinkle of fate. And I think ultimately this is what God wanted for me. So, yeah.
All right, so within the media industry, I know it comes with a lot of pressure and proving yourself, especially in the early stages. So what was your first real test when you started this career?
My first real test?
The many question like, okay, should I continue this or do I really belong to this industry?
So I'm the type of person who does everything. I wouldn't say I'm a perfectionist, but if I can do it in a way that is perfect or nearly perfect, I will do it that way. Everything that I do to the best of my abilities. So that in itself can be a challenge because the structures or systems around you, around me, do not necessarily support that kind of behavior, that kind of thinking, or that kind of mindset. So I don't think there was ever like just one test to say, oh, this moment really tried me. But just that approach to life, that approach to work, that approach to anything generally can be challenging. And being in journalism, being in the media, I worked in mainstream media for almost a decade, 7, 8 years. When I started my internship at AYB, I worked there for almost 10 years. I think 7 or 8 years I worked at AYB, and it can be such a demanding job if you're in mainstream journalism because get holiday, get weekend, no rest,
You have to cover.
Yes, exactly. And at the time, 24-hour television was just, picking up in Sierra Leone. I know the world had moved on, but, when we were growing up,
It was
television, the odds, midnight, 12:30, and so just trying to build that, and I'm sure the owners of AYB and other TV stations that were coming up at the time really tried to build that. And as a young person, that can be challenging, just basically sacrificing your social life, so I think just being someone who would go beyond what was needed to do something, just going above and beyond to make sure that whatever I'm doing is up to standard or near perfect. Yeah.
Okay. Now you're saying this, I'm just thinking about it. I know in the early stages you were trying to make a difference, you're trying to create great influence. So obviously you were living in obscurity and people did not know you that much. So I think it's psychological. People tend to underestimate when you are not of great influence at those times. So what did you do to prove to people that you're something? Did you re-strategize? Did you stay in silence? What was it that you did?
To be honest, I wouldn't know if anyone underestimated me.
Okay.
Because I'm not someone who necessarily cares what people think. I mean, not to that extent. For me, work is work. If this is what I've signed up to do, rest assured, this is what I will do. Maybe as a young person entering an organization, especially maybe because of the field in media where it can be competitive, and for Sierra Leone, where resources are limited, jobs are limited, it can be, a competitive space. But I wouldn't know if I was underestimated. My approach was always, and is always, to go in, learn from those who are doing what I aspire to do, learn from those who are doing great things, be humble, take the lessons that I need to take, and better myself. So I think that approach worked. I didn't necessarily need to come up with any strategy or but just being humble enough to learn, being curious, accepting when I make mistakes, asking questions, just going in with a lot of curiosity and willingness to learn and better myself. Yeah.
So what is one hard truth you had to accept about media just to survive? Is there any?
One hard truth about media. I think I'm realizing now more than ever that this field is ever changing. There are new trends, there are new camera equipment, new ways of doing stories, new styles. It's ever evolving. And as the world moves, so does this particular field. I'm not sure whether that is true for all other fields, but that's also one difficult truth. I'm really sure this is true for every other aspect of life. You have to keep learning, you're constantly learning so that you basically understand what you're doing and you're able to, have conversations with people outside of your small community about the work. What else? Is there any other hard truth? I think also now I'm having this conversation with myself about, visibility and influence, and that being visible doesn't necessarily mean, you have influence or you're well off.
But people think.
Yes, that definitely comes with being in the public eye. People would make assumptions about your life. People would tend to think that you're doing okay, but you're just doing your job. Yeah.
All right, let's talk about you evolving. So, when did you realize that, okay, you know what, I have to be the girl, to stop trying and just be a woman that is leading? Honestly speaking, I don't think I would ever stop trying. I don't think it's possible to ever stop trying, because that would mean that you're comfortable, that you're complacent, and you're fine with where you are. Maybe in my old age or elder years, when I would have, achieved whatever goals I set for myself, I would then say, okay, halas, this is enough. I will pass the baton on to someone else, or this, I've done enough. But as much as I am considered to be leading, I am still trying, because, as I said, things are changing every day. There are important conversations that need to be had, and just being someone who wants to be better every day. You just have to keep trying. Yeah. Most of the time, I think success comes when maybe we're not even prepared for it. So, what is it that success demanded from you that you weren't prepared for?
I wouldn't say I wasn't prepared for it, but I realized as I grew older that, first of all, you have to define what success means to you. You cannot base your understanding or level of success on other people's opinion of success or other people's definition of success.
Or what they're doing.
Yes. And secondly, for whatever bar or goal you set for yourself, it will require a lot of discipline and determination to get there. It wasn't that obvious in the beginning, but now it's very obvious that for anything you want to do, if you set goals for yourself, you would know that in order to move from point A to B, I need to say and do what I said I'm going to do. You need to be very disciplined and determined. Yeah.
All right. So Antonia, you're now a woman in the spotlight. So what does influence mean to you behind the cameras, the lightings, and all of that?
Influence. I think influence means the ability to change thinking, change mindsets, change culture. And I think influence, as much as today we tend to put influence and numbers together, but if you can get one person to change their mind or belief about something, I think that's influence. Yeah.
So we've watched you, evolve over time since the days of AYV, and now you're hosting your shows as well. So I'm tempted to ask, what version of Antonia are we seeing now?
What version of Antonia is this? I think this is the version that is not afraid to try new things, trying different things. And I think this is the version of Antonia that is a bit more reflective. I don't know if this comes with growing older, but the reason I'm doing, honestly speaking, the reason I'm doing it,
get older,
but they don't get wiser. Maybe it's just being in Sierra Leone, realizing that this is home, and just wanting better for Sierra Leone, and wanting to leave behind a better Sierra Leone for my children, for the next generation. Yeah. So this is a more reflective Antonia, I think. Yeah.
All right. Is there any misconception about you out there? You don't know?
I wouldn't know. No, I mean, nobody knows if I can't tell you say that. So these people they think what's you. I wouldn't know, honestly, because I don't really pay attention to
rumors.
I have to know you to care about your opinion. I mean, I have to know you to up to a certain level. I don't necessarily know what misconceptions are there. But if there are any misconceptions, I would I don't know how to react because I don't know what they are. Anyway, maybe the top will meet me one. I don't know if there are any misconceptions, honestly.
I don't think you've heard any. So is there any moments that forced you to level up professionally or personally? Do you think of any moments?
No, not one specific moment, and I don't think there's a specific moment that has forced me to level up. It's just in this career, like I said in the beginning, you just have to keep up with the times and what's happening, and I think it goes for everyone else. Yeah, it goes across different spheres of life and careers. You have to move with the world. Technology is ever changing. New things are being invented. You have to think about how do you leverage these things to make your work better? How do you leverage these things to make your work easier? And use it for good. Because there are many ways you could use technology, but use it for the greater good. Yeah.
I see you're very passionate about Sierra Leone. You put your text into it. So, what impact do you think your voice is making now in Sierra Leone?
I think the impact my voice is making is, opening up the space for more conversations, talking about things we don't often talk about, asking the questions that we need to ask about ourselves, about how to move Sierra Leone forward, but also just creating the space for us to hear ourselves, because sometimes we talk but we don't necessarily hear ourselves. So I think that's the impact. I hope that's the impact I'm making, especially with the podcast, with Honestly Speaking, that we're able to have these conversations, to think about what we can do to move Sierra Leone forward, and to look at other countries in the world and see what we can learn from them and how we can take some lessons from them and implement in Sierra Leone that would make a difference.
Don't you think it's culture? I think a lot of Sierra Leoneans were just scared to say our minds.
Yes.
Maybe that's the reason why people are just hiding. They will see certain things, they will never say it out. They just
Yes, I
they
think
will say,
there
wait for
is.
do. Let me be
Yes, yes. There is fear of speaking up, but also some things do not need. You don't necessarily need legal backing if you see person in the in a street. You don't need legal backing for tenancy. What you're doing is wrong. If you know what
Maybe they're scared of the reaction.
Waiting the person will do.
Okay, I'll give a short story. There was someone, I think it was, where I'm staying. So this was the wet. I just started to my the wet now. The guy looked at me and was like, I can't get her. So, so I think sometimes it is the reaction of people that causes fear. It's not even about the legal backing and all that. It's just this.
But what did that take away from you? You told him the truth, and you told him, you tell him say what they do not correct, and I'm sure we're gonna host if whatever he probably thought about it and I mean I don't know, but we shouldn't be afraid. Some people know some things are wrong, but they're afraid to speak up. But so we said, maybe you go say, go tell this politician this, go tell this politician that, But so we said, as Sierra Leoneans, as young people, we ought to be able to say, no, me paddy, not to wait until I am, me paddy, not do this. You ought to be able to say that. Yeah.
Okay, so what do you want your name to be remembered for?
Integrity. Integrity is very important, and it's one of the things that it's one of the things that stands out when I have guests on the podcast. I would love to live a full life with my integrity intact. And it takes a lot of discipline to do that. It takes knowing yourself, being able to decipher right from wrong. It's not always easy. Being able to say no to things, it's not always easy. But yeah, that's one thing I would love my legacy to be. Yeah.
Is there anything you're working on currently that is gonna wow people and say, okay, we didn't see this version of Antonia coming on? If you want to share.
I would hope that everything I do would make an impact. I would hope that everything I do makes an impact. If it helps someone think about something differently, if it changes people's minds or behaviors, I would be grateful for that. So I'm continuing, honestly speaking, I am 100% sure there are greater things to come, but people will have to just wait and see.
Okay. Anyways, thank you so much. We've come towards the end of the show. Thank you so much for accepting this invitation.
Thank you.
And I'm sure everyone, we've learned so much from you. We understand the version of Antonia we're now seeing. So thank you so much for watching. Please do not forget to subscribe, like, and share your comments.